Osley. He was from Hartwell. I can't think of his name. And this was past the dentist's shop. A little alley used to run between these two buildings. But all of this right here over was under a shelter. And this is where my dad had his shop. Mr. Ellis Hunt had his restaurant. And Neil Wynn was on the end. And if you reverse across the street, this was Johnson Hardware. It burned, and they rebuilt it, and the Mexicans having a church in that building now. There was an alley that run through there. This is where Blue Diamond was located. Dewdrop Inn. Then Tommy Watkins rented this building on the bottom floor from Sam Oglesby, and it was a 2-story building. And then Jim Hill had a little restaurant next door. Then Ed Beecham and son, they were white men, a white daddy and his son. Then there was Elberton Compress, that was in the back.
That was white also.
Yeah, well, that's where they sold wood and bricks and paint, nails, that kind of stuff.
Now, who owned Blue Diamond?
The building was owned by a Coggins family, but what Coggins, I don't know. They rented it. They rented it all the way up until either Tommy Joe bought it or either, what the Rucker guy, Cliff Rucker.
Did any of the black business people own their spots?
Well, Dewdrop Inn was owned by Leroy Dooley's sister, and she was married to a man named Waddell McNair. They owned that building. Sam Oglesby owned the building that Tommy Watkins had his cafe in. This is where Bojangles. Bojangles is occupying part of the property where Dewdrop Inn and Sam Oglesby building, which Tommy Watkins had a cafe.
Is that the old Bojangles?
Yeah, old Bojangles. Then over here, where my daddy's shop was, that's part of Regent's parking lot now. Or where you go into the Regent's from Elbert Street, that was that strip mall from the entrance from going into back where McIntosh parking lot, McIntosh Coffee parking lot. Mm. Part of that is a driveway that existed back there then. And all the way down to the end. Because below that, where Elberton Furniture Company built the new building, that was an empty lot at one time. Do you see this right here? You have a trailer. Mm-hmm. A white lady, a female, took pictures on Fridays and Saturdays. And she had something similar to a Polaroid because you only had to wait about 10 minutes to get your picture. And a lot of people, black people who have pictures now with look like a floral around it, she took those pictures. Matter of fact, I have one or two at home now. It's the only thing you got to do then was take a snapshot. You didn't need all that stuff. I want to fine tune this. Now this is kind of the way Blue Diamond looked. It was made out of granite rock. And that's the entrance to the front. And this where after Mr. Osley left from across the street, he put his shop in this building. And he ran it, I think, till he left Elberton.
Were those bars on the window?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They put bars on that picture you showed me the other day. They had bars.
That's right.
Yeah, let me show you.
I just couldn't imagine them doing this.
Now that's Tommy Watkins Cafe right there. That's what it looked like with the 2 stories. And Mr. Sam Oglesby owned that building. And he had rental houses. And on Fridays and Saturdays, you had to go up to his office and pay him rent because he rented houses by the week.
Now where were the houses? All over?
Scattered out, yeah. He had a lot of land in different places. Now how he accumulated all that property.
Now was he white or black?
He was black.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I said, everybody was up there was black except the Beecham, Ed Beecham. And this was Jim Hill's building. It was kind of attached to that, sandwich in between him and
Is that wood?
no, this is tin. All that was 10.
And you could look at it and tell it was 10.
Yeah.
Strips of 10 or big sheets?
Big wide sheets. About like that, but it went vertical.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of that stuff. Now, the dewdrop in had something like a tar, brick paper tar, if you call it like that. It had looked like images of brick, but it was a tar paper. This is the way the building looked with my daddy's shop. Just the way it was designed.
All one story?
Oh yeah. See, this is where Mr. Osler had his building. Pastor had her shop there. This is my daddy's shop. This is Mr. Ellis Hunt had a restaurant. And Neil Wynn was on the end. Now during the summer, I can't think of the gentleman's name, he would open up and I had my first snow cone. He would shave a block of ice and put it in those little V cups and pour the juice or drink or whatever over it. And all this was paved.
Like a sidewalk.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
A lot of folk told me like they didn't have pavement up there then. But in the summertime, we took the shoe shine out and put it under this shelter right under here, and we shine shoes outdoors.
That sounds nice. That looks impressive.
Well, you get you out the shop. But my dad had a shower in there that people used to at one time could come and get a shower. And this is something I started. This was owned by Dr. Jones. This is where they had the casino grill, and Nelson Tharbs had a shop in the middle building.
Oh.
This stayed vacant for a long time. I hadn't completed it, but like I said, I was going to redraw it, put some color in it, and probably change the roof different.
I always knew Nelson to work out of that building she had on her property.
No, I'll tell you a story about that, but it won't be, I don't want it on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And the next one, I don't think I did anymore because I started this one day. Oh, now this is Dooley's Corner.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And this is where the Royal Blue Room was upstairs.
Now where is that?
These are little doors that I
in that picture?
Yeah. I still need to go across there a little bit because and this at one time he ran the grocery store over here. Then you went upstairs through this door to the Dr. Johnson, K.M. Johnson, and the Blue Room. And then at one time, he had a pool room over here, and he had the grocery store there.
So is that where Hair Q is, or?
This
No.
is where Hair
That's
Q.
where Hair Q is.
And that right there is sort of where Porter's used to be. But
Porter's had his cafe in there, but he rented from Duda.
Okay.
Then after they tore all this down, and people were able to buy back property on Elbert Street after the widen, Porter put his store right here, where Subway currently is located. And I think that's the last one. Because on down below, you had another building that, I don't know who owned it, dudes owned it, but Mr. James Jones had a tailor shop down there. And on the corner, the Carters had a house. Next door below them was Mrs. Lena Thornton.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola plant. And that fence is still there, the Coca-Cola plant, that was right beside her house.
Mm-hmm.
But I had some more drawings because I was going to do the apartments that was in Smith Alley, Tin Can Alley. And those were the two alleys on Elbert Street.
Now,
And
Tin
then you
Can Allen was where what is now.
About where the new Bojangles and what's down there below the new Bojangles? Because Mount Carey is about where Kentucky Fried is now.
Right.
And also R.T.
R.T.
Adams
Adams.
built the building
Right.
on that lot. There was a lot between Mount Carey and Bartlett Street, which Bartlett Street part of it still exists, going across the railroad.
Yeah.
But in that interlock, RT built a 2-story concrete block, and that was the one that Mr. Noel ran.
Did you cover Dr. Jones's office?
No.
And
See, I got a picture of Dr. Jones' office, but I can't find it. I got it. But I was gonna, I got a picture before he put the brick around it and after he put the brick around it.
Okay. He had brick around his office on Elbert Street?
Yeah, he bricked it up after he had
Because it was white shingles.
asbestos shingles, but he
Yeah.
covered that up with brick.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what they did.
Did he have the
Charles did the same
sign?
thing with the funeral home.
Yeah.
It was asbestos.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they covered up, and then Ludell Murray built that other extension on, added on to it over there. But
So-
there was another building there, Mount Calvary. We didn't talk about it.
Well, you had Dr. Jones, you had the church, and then
Oh,
you
yeah.
had your house.
Had St.
The house
Mary's,
that you lived in.
and then next door to St. Mary's was the ice plant. And they had a road that left between my house and the house that Don Ray lived. He lived with his grandmother, Miss Hester May Maddox. And she was on the other side of the ice plant facing Elbert Street. And then across from her was Smith Alley. And this is where Diane Moss, her brother, they lived. I don't know, you remember Diane, Linwood Huff, Corley. I think his sister married Horace. What was Horace's name? Came back here. But anyway,
Oh, Lord, was it?
no,
Oh,
I'll think of it later. And down below Tinkin Alley, next door was Miss Key. Miss Miriam Key. She taught in school system. I
Right.
think she started at Jones Street, I believe.
I believe you're right.
And then she had a sister come up later by the last name of Floyd. She worked in the school system, and they came from Macon, Georgia. Now her husband, at one time, pastored St. Mary years ago,
Right.
and he either lost a leg or something. But anyway, he walked with a limp, and he eventually was moved to other churches in the state. And she eventually left, went back to Macon. So did her sister, Mrs. Floyd. Then below that was an empty lot, and then you had Miss Presley. And on this side of Miss Presley, there was a house that Chick Maddox used to live in. You know, Chick died a few years ago. He came back and moved over here on Lockwood Street. Miss Hayes, I think.
Okay, let's back up and talk about Elbert Street's nightlife. And who were some of the characters that would perform there?
Oh, now I don't know. Only somebody I know they talked about was in the Blue Room was James Brown in his earlier years.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure they had a lot of. They used to call them chitlin circuit stars that started off in small cafes like that, and then they bloomed to become stars like James Brown did.
Right. Right. James Brown was the only one I knew because
Well, he
when he was
notoriety.
recording, getting ready to record "Please, Please, Please," he came through and we were all up there together.
Really?
Yeah,
So you remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were a witness.
I was a witness.
Okay.